start the lecture now.
Okay. We start very early in the morning, but fortunately we just study. We just had some lessons 2 days ago. So we suppose that you still remember something about the previous lesson. Can you give me some keyword?
Pointer.
Pointer, yes. What did we discuss about pointer? Pointer. Anything else? What did we discuss about pointer? Yes? This is firstly the definition. What is it? How to use it, right? How? How to use it. And to use this, actually, we discussed. What is it? How to declare a pointer and passing a pointer to function and return a pointer from function. Passing of return to from function. Right? What else? Some operation. We do with the pointer, which are increase and decrease. Okay? And we answer the third questions about where the pointer is seldom used and where it's used. The pointer link to the previous lessons. We mentioned about an array, right? The name of the array is a pointer, but it's a constant pointer. Okay? The array. And of course it's the same, the array. We have the string, character, string, array is character. The application is a string. Right. Now, come back. This is the general idea about the previous lessons just 2 days ago. Can you tell me what is a pointer? What is a pointer? A proper definition. What is pointer?
A variable.
Yes, this is a variable. Not just a variable, some special variable. The variable store. What does it store? Yes, that's good. A variable store the address of another variable. Okay, and you can describe this here. This is the memory. The memory. Inside the memory, we name a small area. Give it the name X, which is X. Give it the name X. Okay. So X is a variable. X can store a value 5, for example. X is at the address, let's say, X7, let's say, 14. This is the address. There's the address. Okay. And we reserve another area in the memory and call this P. Okay. And we assign P has the value of 13. Just an example, 13. Actually, the address in the memories must be the hexadecimal, but I keep it simple. Just a number. Just a number. And P may be at the address 61, for example. Okay? And this P, the value of P, is the address of the variable X. So we said that P is a pointer. Point to X. P is pointer to X. And when you write down the code, how can we write? Let's say X is 5. Integer. So how can we declare P to let it point to X? How can we let P point to X? Ngô Tuấn Minh. Is there anyone whose name is Ming in this class? Raise your hand. Ming? Any Ming in this class? Really? I don't believe that. Ming? Okay. Miss Ming. Now, Ming, can you tell me? If we have the pointer P, we want it to point to the variable x. What do we have to write in the code to declare it? Declare P point to a variable x, which is an integer. How can you do that? You can explain when you come here, right on the board. Yes? Now, what is the syntax? To let the variable p point to the variable x. In this case. You want to come to and write on the board? Come on. Write on the board. Usually be active. When you move, you walk, you write by your hand. It's have your brain to practice. It's have you to remember everything better than just look, listen, and let everything pass through. No, not too complicated. Just this case, me. I have an integer variable x over here. I want to create a pointer point to x. Can you write down just one line of code to declare the pointer that point to x? Only x. Integer pointer. How can you make it point to x? Point to x. Yeah, but how to declare a pointer? Do you remember? How to declare a pointer? You don't remember? Alright, thank you. This one of the previous content of the previous session. Thank you. You can leave it there. Any other Ming in this class? One brave student. Brave enough to admit that I'm Ming. Okay, if there is no one. Volunteer, yes, okay, go on. remember the name of the pointer is P.
Yeah.
And you don't have to note the number of the line, the right number. In the code, like numbering the line, code line is the job of the text editor. I just asked you to declare a pointer, point to vertical x. Okay, that's done. The name of the pointer is P. P. A character, a letter P. A lowercase letter P. Your practice for this next week. Okay, thank you. Done right? Thank you. Love. Thank you, love. Now, firstly, as I tell you, this number, when you see on your phone or your computer, actually the number lines, normally they will number like a code is help you to track, to book, to find, to debug, to define the book in the code easier, to comment on the code. Don't push this here. Okay? Secondly, I ask you, the name of the pointer that I choose here is P, not P1, not PTR, not Python. Please choose the right one. Correct me. P. Okay, and we will need slide 1 Yeah? Okay, if you cannot see from there, I will rewrite this in the slide over here. Now, declare pointer x, because the variable x is integer, so you have to declare a pointer point to an integer. The data type of the pointer must be a pointer point to an integer. And whenever you define an integer pointer, you always have to use it to point to an integer. P. And to point to its x, P must be assigned to the address of x, and the address of x. Oh, okay. Nice. What's wrong again? It's such a long time. I didn't write it. And okay, x. Okay. The AND operator will return the address of the variable. Right. So the first essential step, basic step is that you know how to declare the pointer. Okay. And after you know how to declare the pointer, over here, and some other part, I hope you have time to read again the slide, search for Google, read the textbook, and practice. Okay, this is about the pointers. And for today's sessions, we move to the last content of this course. As I told you, the next part for our class, we will have 3 sessions. for 7 hours. The next 7 hours of this course will be spent for your project. Today is the last content of the course. And to do the project, you need to revise all the contents in the course and apply it as the code. The last sessions, I will come to each of every group to check your code. You have to run your code. Show me that you finalize the code for the project. Okay? And we will give you the instruction to submit the report, the group report and the individual report. It's like this. 5 or 10 of you, 6 is preferable. 6 students in a group. Each group will have to submit a report that contains 2 parts. The first part is the group part. You will have like 10 questions, 10 tasks. And the first part must cover all the tasks. 10 tasks. Each student, individual, you will submit the screenshot that running some of these tasks, and we will ask each one of you will do different tasks. So even you submit the code, the report in group, you work in group, but each one will have different report because your question is different from others. Okay, so keep in mind that you work in group, but the report will contain 2 parts, the group part and the individual part. And the individual part will decide what is your marks, your final result. Maybe the quality of the group project is very good, 18 over 20. But you are individual in this group, but you don't understand anything. Cannot run even one function in this. So every other member will get 18 and you will get 10. It can be. So, the individual part will decide your final result. Don't rely too much on your friends, on your other member in the group. And remember, the report, the code of the group, the project, is the common products of every member. So you all have to spend enough effort to do it in order to have a good result. Don't just wait. If you don't know, you ask. Okay? Now let us continue for today's last piece of content. Today we will discuss about data structures and PHI-O. The data structures is important for the one, especially important for the one who study data science. For the one who work with database, manager, and for all of you, because in the final project there is a task to manage the data. Right. PHI-O is just a small piece of knowledge. Have you to science? Okay, good. In data science, you have to process the data. So of course, you need to know about the data structure and how to read and write from the file. How to process the file in order to collect the data and process the data to answer some questions. It's quite important. The same concept of file, IO, input and output file, you can apply for when you use Python. Next video, we'll study about even use Python, for example. Python is more convenient to work with text file than C++. C than C. So anyway, the same concept. Now about structures. The questions is, do you know what is structure? Something has structure? What is a structure? Why structure? Let's say the question is how to keep different data aspects of items together. It's like each item in our daily life or each student here. We are all humans, right? So human has the same, some common properties. And we are Vietnamese. I heard most of us are Vietnamese. Someone have other nationality. But we are all almost Vietnamese, so we communicate in Vietnamese, for example. But even you have another nationality. Any one of us has a name. Has a name, and you have a birthday, right? Name and birthday. And when you join USDH, you have the student ID. Student ID. And after 1 year or 2 years, you have a script, mark script, GPA, the list of all the subjects that you study and the marks that you get, right? So we have some common aspects, properties to manage. And let's say if we want to track the students who study this course, basic programming, to track firstly how many students are there, what is their name, and to input your mark automatically, we need your student ID. So remember, when you do the project, you submit the report, you do some exam, you join some examination. Never write your student ID wrong. Always check your student ID, especially something you submit online. Student ID and your USDH email. Because if you write wrong, I will be the one who will be very miserable. I will be miserable to process the mark sheet with some wrong student ID, wrong email address. So always check, please. Right? Now come back over here. Let's say we want to track, manage all the students who study the course, basic programming. Each one of you have the student ID, has the name, and has a mark, this course. Okay? So like, we want to manage 620 students by their student name and marks. In this case, we will need a structure, a data structure, and each student can be consider as a datum, has the same structure, contain 3 aspects. Right? Now for the case that you work in a library, have you tried to, do you often go to the library? Library. Have you tried a library of USDH? Yeah? If you ask someone in the previous generation, they imply someone lost his bicycle was stolen when he's in the library. So be careful if you come to the library. Be careful with your vehicle. Right, now in the library, the book must be managed by their title, author, subject, book ID, publishing year, etc. It has the manager and also the customer, the customer, or the students or anyone, come to the library, want to search for some information. Easier to search. Maybe you can just only say that I want to find a book from Nguyễn Nhật Ánh. Okay, so just search. All the book has the same order, Nguyễn Nhật Ánh. And let's say if you want to find the book Premier Eye Matfield, for example, you have to add the more information of the subjects, and then you can search according to the subjects. Right? There are many books. And in this case, we can consider each book here is a data structure that has several aspects. 5 aspects. I call this attribute. Attribute. Right? And this structure we can define it as a data type in programming. A new data type. A user-defined data type. Not integer, not float, not string, not character. It's you define a new data type. For example, for this record about books and library, you can define a new data type called book. Book. A book. And every time you create a variable which has the data type of a book, this variable must store value of all these 5 attributes. Okay? Book. Now, let's just see how can we do that. Here, this is from the view of the real or daily life view. But we have a library of books, and each book has 5 informations. So we define each book as a structure. We call this book. Every book like this. Or if we want to manage students, we have 20 students. Each student is a data type. Sorry, each student is the structure, has the data type of the student. And from the view of programming, we do like this. You have to declare the structure. The syntax to do this, you can in C, you use struct. Struct is the keyword. And then you write out the name. You name the name of the structure that you want to create. And come back to the convention of programming. You should choose the name that reflects the content. If you want to manage books, you should create the data structure called book. Don't call it human or students. So let's say, for example, you have the book. The syntax is the struct book, and then you keep all the aspects inside inside the braces, and then you end with a semicolon. Let's say each of the previous aspects or properties of the book is actually a variable. A variable can be stored as a variable that included in the structure of the book. Okay? Let's say you can imagine in the memory, you declare 5 small memory area for 5 variables. And these 5 variables correspondingly will store the title, the information of the book, title of the book, author of the book, subjects of the book, year, and idea of the book. And all of these 5 memory areas is gathered as a bigger area called a structure, book. Okay? And this becomes a template, or over here we call it a data type, a template. And every time you create a variable that has a data type of a book, the memory will be organized according to this template. And any variable which has the data type of the book must have 5 information. And then you can add the value for each aspect, each fields of the structure. Okay. Now, this is how you declare a data type, the template, and this is how you create a variable that has this template, or the variable that has this data type. Let's say now the word book becomes a data type. So you just, the same logic, you have to declare first the data type of the variable, and the data type is book, struct book, and the name of the variable. You can name it whatever. Over here I give an example, you name it fiction 1. Fiction 1, fiction 2, thriller, or non-fictions, or whatever. You can name a variable. That's how the data type of the book, struct book. Okay, and as this variable and as data type, you can initialize it with some information. To initialize a structure, you have to assign each of these information the corresponding value. And this value must match the data type that is declared. For example, over here you have title, author, subject, ID. What is the data type of this? The first 4 information, what is the data type? Is there a what? What is it? Character with pointer to character, and actually if you after some time is an array of character or string. Okay? A string. pointer to character, okay. Pointer to character or an array of character or a string. So the first four cues over here, for information over here, they must be string. They must be array of character. And the last one, year, the variable year, it must be an integer. An integer. And correspondingly, in the initializations of the function variable, function 1, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4. The first four information are strings. Okay? A string. And in C, in order to initialize, to assign a string, you have to keep the text inside the double quote. And the last variable is an integer number. Okay? So you see, the data type of this value must match the data type that is declared in the template. Right, so from now, after you declare the struct like this, you will have a new user-defined data type which construct book or structure have a name book, and you define, initialize the struct. Okay, 5 minutes break, and then we come back to the next section. Sorry, next slide. 5 minutes. If you haven't had breakfast, go out, eat something, drink something, have some coffee. Huh? Các bạn sẽ được có cái bản hướng dẫn yêu cầu mỗi bạn để mỗi người một đề.
Bọn em được phép sử dụng tài liệu không?
Được phép sử dụng tài liệu, các bạn làm nó được trên lớp mà. Tất nhiên là được xin phép sử dụng tài liệu.
Ở đây rồi sau bắt đầu làm.
Tí nữa là học tiếp lecture 7 đúng không?
Hôm nay học hết lecture 7 đến buổi sau, bắt đầu buổi sau. Buổi cuối cùng thì sẽ chấm điểm. Bạn làm đâu rồi? Revise thì mới làm được chứ.
Bởi vì cô bảo là có thể dùng tài liệu đúng không?
Có dùng tài liệu nhưng em revise để em hiểu cái gì là cái gì.
Câu hỏi đánh trả lời được chưa?
Em phải hiểu được cái đề đã mới giải đề chứ.
Vâng,
mà để hiểu đề thì phải revise chứ.
Vâng, tối về revise. Mấy bữa nay cái cô đề của em hỏi hơi đơn.
Em bây giờ em đi thi là cái đề em đọc cũng hiểu đề đấy đang hỏi cái gì. Các tập lượng sống như kiểu gì là sao?
Cô sẽ hỏi.
Xin lỗi là không có đi kiểm tra đi.
Nhóm bên em hỏi cô là nhóm 7 hay nhóm 6 đấy?
Nhóm vẫn chưa hỏi được gì Hà, cho nên nhóm 7 nhóm 6 người thôi. 6 người, lớp này 300. Wow. 6 người. 50 nhóm thì làm sao mà làm được nhỉ? Phải 10 nhóm. 30 nhóm thôi. 10 nhóm. Nghĩ cho nhiều chứ.
Em vừa nhìn thấy bản thân nào không phải mình
Không phải là bản chất ở đây.
nhận thông qua thì cũng được.
Bây giờ em chỉ cần hiểu pointer là hiển lưu địa chỉ của người khác. Tức là khi mà em biết địa chỉ của thằng khác, em không cần biết là bên trong chứa cái gì, nhưng mà em biết là nó ở đâu. Nếu em biết nó ở đâu thì có thể access để nó thấy được địa chỉ của nó. Một địa chỉ chỉ có một địa chỉ thôi. Địa chỉ tức là cái nhớ. Có nhớ memory RAM không? Trong bộ nhớ không? Trong bộ nhớ RAM ấy thì nó sẽ là có các memory cell. Mỗi memory cell là một byte. Memory cell là một byte. Mỗi memory cell đấy đều có địa chỉ. Để đánh địa chỉ. Thì khi mà em lưu, nó tự đánh chứ. Trong khi sản xuất là người ta đã đánh địa chỉ như thế rồi. Và ví dụ em lưu một cái integer thì người ta lấy ra, người ta sẽ lấy ra trong máy tính nó sẽ lấy ra 4 byte. 4 byte thì nó phải có địa chỉ byte đầu tiên đúng không? Em chỉ biết là tôi lấy ra 4 byte và byte đầu tiên ở vị trí thứ 5 thì em sẽ auto biết là 4 byte này sẽ là byte 5, byte 6, byte 7, 8. 4 byte đấy là lưu giá trị integer. Cái pointer ấy mà nó chỉ về cái byte thì nó sẽ lưu giá trị này là giá trị 5. Thì bây giờ em tưởng tượng là đấy và em lại còn cho nó biết là tôi sẽ tạo ra một pointer lưu giá trị của byte đầu tiên và nó là integer nên nó sẽ lưu giá trị trong 4 byte. Em biết là chỉ để byte đầu tiên rồi lại có 4 byte tiếp theo thì là rõ ràng là em xác định được vị trí của cái chỗ mà lưu giá trị rồi thì lúc nào em access vào đấy cũng được mà.
Đan lượng đi tâm luôn hả cô?
Tuần sau.
Tuần sau.
Ông dọa tôi kinh quá.
Thế buổi tuần sau là cầu project xong rồi cuối buổi lại.
Nhắc cho mình nhá. Câu hỏi các thầy cô mà trong thực hành ý, thì lớp thực hành của bạn là 2 tiếng một buổi đúng không? 2 giờ. Nên là thay vì mọi năm là sẽ có 8 buổi thì năm nay chỉ có 7 buổi thôi. Thì buổi thứ 7 là buổi cuối cùng là buổi tuần sau của các bạn, đúng không? Thì buổi tuần sau của các bạn là buổi thực hành cuối cùng sẽ thi multiple choice vào 15 phút, 15 hoặc 20 phút cuối giờ. Nên các bạn chuẩn bị tinh thần để tuần sau đi thực hành và cuối buổi sẽ thi luôn. Điểm thi multiple choice đấy là lấy điểm midterm exam. Okay. Còn điểm project sẽ được tính cho điểm final exam. Nghe chưa? Các bạn hỏi cô là nó có khó là dễ multiple choice, lý thuyết hay bài tập. Nhưng thực ra là không có cái giới hạn giữa lý thuyết và bài tập. Vì về cơ bản các bạn học lý thuyết để đạt được yêu cầu môn học thì là các bạn phải học lý thuyết, hiểu lý thuyết và áp dụng được lý thuyết vào bài tập để giải. Cho nên khi thi multiple choice thì nó sẽ có các level như thế. Level là biết, hiểu, áp dụng. Các bạn đến được mức độ nào thì điểm nó sẽ là đến mức độ đấy. Nếu chỉ biết thôi thì là không đủ. Nếu chỉ biết thôi thì là không đủ yêu cầu môn học nhé. Hiểu. Mà hiểu thì được thể hiện qua việc áp dụng. Áp dụng có thể ra kết quả sai nhưng mà ít nhất là hiểu và đúng bài toán này là chúng ta phải áp dụng cái kiến thức này. Nên các bạn về chuẩn bị tinh thần để tuần sau đi thực hành và thi midterm luôn. Project thì được cái là do lớp mình học vào trong tuần nên là đáng lẽ chỉ còn 2 buổi thì lại được tách ra thành 3 buổi, nên thời gian dài ra cho đến ngày mấy tháng 5 đấy, 5 tháng 5 gì đấy thì là cuối thì là được lợi hơn một chút về mặt thời gian. Tuy nhiên là các bạn cố gắng hoàn thành xong sớm một chút để có thời gian để sửa chữa hoặc là hỏi han vân vân. Xem thử có hiểu không? Đúng rồi, buổi chấm final sẽ là buổi cuối cùng là hôm 5 tháng 5. Hiện tại danh sách lớp là khá là đông. Nếu mà các bạn chia 6 bạn một nhóm thì sợ rằng là sẽ không đủ thời gian để kiểm tra hết các bạn nhóm. 10 bạn một nhóm. 15 năm nào nhóm lớp này phải 30 nhóm. 30 mấy nhóm. Là 10 bạn một nhóm đi, 10 bạn một nhóm. Yên tâm là 10 bạn một nhóm, sau đến lúc nộp thì vẫn là nộp cả có phần cá nhân và phần tập thể mà. Khi cá nhân, khi tập thể. Mời bạn vào nhóm và buổi cuối cô sẽ kiểm tra từng nhóm một. Từng nhóm một, nên là đến nhóm nào để hãy sẵn sàng máy tính đây. Bọn em có 10 người, chỉ có một máy này chạy thôi, thì chị chạy máy đấy. Nhưng mà nó phải chạy. Bọn em có 10 người nhưng mà không máy nào chạy thì đấy là vấn đề lớn. Nha. Thầy cô sẽ gửi cho bạn cái thông báo instruction đầy đủ. Perfect. you often read book? Do you often read book? Comic book? Yeah, you often read book. I saw some students reading comics last time. So you read. Is there anyone here is a fan of Harry Potter?
Còn nguyên bộ cosplay này có mở đây.
Fan of Harry Potter. Did you read the English version?
No, only Vietnamese specific.
Try the version of English version and French version. No, it's very nice. It's a good way to learn French. French version. I remember I buy a series of Harry Potter 7 books, 5 books, only 5. In French versions, only €2. You got 5 books of Harry Potter. It's crazy. So happy. In French versions. But anyway, Vietnamese version is the best. English is the original one is the best. Alright. So you may want to try this example. Anyway, keep in mind, it's quite simple here. The structure, data structure. The struct is actually a user-defined data type. And when you declare a variable, you have to declare its data type. And when you initialize a variable, you have to assign the corresponding value and data type. For data structure, there will be more than one information must be included. So when you initialize a struct, you have to assign enough informations and in the right data type over here, the right data type. Okay? This is how you declare and initialize. And let's say you may want to access to the member either to initialize it, or you want to rewrite the value, reuse the structure, or you want to create a new object, new variable has the same struct. Let's say you have more than one book at home. I hope so. More than one book at home. Each book has this information. So you have first book 1, name, author, subject, ID, year. Book 2, another name, author, subject, ID, year. And in order to access to this, you will need to use the point. Okay. The name of the variable, a book, point, the information, the field. Point year is when you access to the year, see the year of the book. And in this example, actually you assign the information, the value for each of these small these informations of the variable fiction 1. access. The same if you want to print out the title of the fiction one. I call someone, come to the board, write out for me a line of code to print out the title of this fiction one. Suppose that I have created the structure book like this, declare a variable fiction one, initializes as following, and now print out the name, the title of the variable of the fiction one. We run out of Ming in this class, or some hidden Ming. Any name at home? Phạm Minh Anh. Phạm Minh Anh. It's you. Okay, that's good. Come on. Write down a line of code. There's a line of code. You can write here. No, just a line of code to print out the title of fiction. You have a choice. Alright, the whites emphasize here. Very good. It's just a line code, and thank you. She writes correctly. Let's say after these initializations, you have a variable fiction one, and actually fiction one point title is a variable that have the data type of an array of character or a string. So if you want to print out the title of fiction one, you use printf, and the format should be a string. And then to access to the title, you use fiction one point title. That's it. Very good. Access point. Nice. So this is to print out when you can access to the each information of each variable in the structure. You can do many things with this. You can print out. You can scan out to input from the keyboard. Course. Right, we'll try some example. The structure, you can declare it outside the main function, inside the main function, depending on the scope you want to use. For large projects that include more than one file, you will have a header and implementation files, right? And you want to keep the book is global, as a global variable. You keep it outside of the main function. Right, for example, you define a structured book. Book does have 5 information here. And you can initialize for the first book, which is Harry Potter and what other information. And then create another variable, book 1. Initializes in another way. Wow. Here, why does it look so weird? I think it's not. Here, it should be the ID. That's to do it. Now, when you type the code, maybe you find it's quite inconvenient to type again and again struct book, struct book. Struct book. Is this possible to type only book without a struct? Because over here in struct book is quite duplicated. Something like this, if you declare a book. I believe that when you type this code, you will copy, paste, and then change the number. It's quite manually. So there is another way to reduce your time resource, reduce the code number of codes you have to type. Is that you can use type def or define type. Type def is a keyword using C. And so you can define this struct book will be replaced by BK. BK is whatever, you can choose any shortened name for the struct book. I think this should be, this one. This must be correct, book. Because we define the uppercase. And in C, we distinguish between uppercase and lowercase. Now, it's just a short name. So, after you define struct book as BK, after this, any struct book can be related by BK. It's like you can replace all of this struct book by BK. Just BK. A shorter. When you choose a shorter name, it must be unique. This means if you write struct book instead of BK, you cannot use BK for other struct name or other thing, other variable name. It's become a keyword, and you cannot use the keyword for variable name. Alright, another way to use type def. Either you can just replace these 2 words as BK. You can use type def for the struct directly. Put this is like you type def and it's define all of this struct as the name book. So you can, after this, in order to declare a variable that have the type of a book, you use only the word book. Right? The previous one, type struct book, if you declare the struct like this, struct book, if you declare the book like this, you use type def. And the other way is that instead of declare with a struct book, you declare as type def struct. You're moving the focus, the attentions. Right. You can practice about this later, or do you need any demo for this? Two-way. This way, you can use struct. And the first way is like struct, book, like this, and then you use type def, struct book, SBK, or just book. And the another way is that use type def writing. Now the questions. What is the size of the struct? What is the size of an integer? int. Last time you answered it correctly several times. How many bytes? 4 bytes. Yes, for integer. What about struct? How many bytes? How many bytes that are used to store a struct? What is the size of the struct? How many bytes? Try the code and answer me. It depends on what? It's varied, right? It depends on how many informations that are included inside a struct. What are the data type of these informations? Right? For this case, we have a book structure that has 5 information, in which 4 of them are string, and 1 of them is an integer. What is the size? Do you have the result? Try the code. Push this code inside the main function. Or you can keep, but first you have to define the book first. Come back here. Define this code first. Define this before jumping into the main function. This will be the main function. Or you want to try this first. Right? Please try this to here. And then add few lines of code to define the size of a struct. result? I'm just asking you to type the code. I didn't give you the break. It translates very quick from my silence to a break. Now, who will be the next one? Anything is coming? Who will be the next? Tổng Nam Lâm. I'm sleeping. I'm sorry, I called him last time, so let him sleep. Ngô Quang Minh. Ngô Quang Minh. Are you there? Too shy to raise. Nguyễn Ngọc Minh. Nguyễn Ngọc Minh. You just come. Minh vừa đến à? Và dũng cảm đấy nhá. Gọi là Minh cứ đưa tay lên. Ít ra có nhiều hơn 2 người thì xác suất mà mình bị gọi chỉ là 50% thôi. Okay, Ngọc Minh. What is the result? What is the size of the struct? Have you tried? Have you tried the code? Have you tried the code and print out the size of the struct? Have you tried it? 40 bytes. Yes. Thank you. We'll go answer. Maybe you have to try. And next time, raise your hand because I think we have more than 2 Ming in this class. Right, don't be shy. Okay, no. Okay, for example, I use type def in the definition of a structure. In this book, I create a variable fiction1 that has the data type of book, initialize it with the following information, and I print out the size of variable. Okay? You have to define the format to print out. The size of is the function in C, standard function. And it's return a long integer. So you have to define the format when you print out to match the type of long integer. Okay, and print out, check. Okay, 40 bytes. 40 bytes. Right. You can use the size of function to check for the size of any variable. Okay. Now the some How can you compare two books? One book is the Harry Potter, and another is Programming in C textbook. How can you compare it? Is this possible to compare? Of course, if we compare by the content, we can say only it's different. It's not the same. But we cannot say that this one is bigger, this one is larger, this one. From the information that we input here, we cannot compare. And the same for structure. Struct variables cannot be compared. You cannot compare the two structures. Only you can check if the two variables that have the data type of the structure, the same data structure book, for example, if their title are the same, if their year, which one is older, okay? But you cannot compare like this one is bigger, this one is smaller, this one is equal. You cannot do this with the struct variables. You only can compare each of the each information that included inside the book, not the whole book, not the whole struct. The member, we call this the member. Member of the structure, struct variables, can be compared, but not the whole struct. Okay, so because it's a data type, so it exists the array of this data type, right? Array of structure. Let's say we have a series book, server book. You can use an array to store information of server book. In this case, let's say we want to store, manage information of 5 books. So we will need to declare an array of 5 elements. Each of this is a struct. It's a book. Okay, and if you still remember about the array, in order to access to each element in the array, you have to add the index, the position of the element in the array. And over here is the same. We have the variable. You can access to the elements of the array, and each of these elements is the book, so you can access to the member of each book. For example, fiction 1 title is, you can assign some information over here. Little Prince, the Petit Prince. That's it, and you can try to create a library yourself with server book, input some information, and then you can print out some book that is published 5 years ago, later than 5 years, etc. Now, because the structure is kind of variable, kind of data type, so we will study everything about data type, the same like we study about integer, float. We talk about the array of struct, and we have the pointers to struct. Pointer to struct. We have pointer to integer, pointer to float, pointer to character, and now we have pointer to struct. It's still the same. The data type, the asterisk, that return a pointer to the data type. For example, you can create a pointer that's point to a struct book. Okay? And of course, the pointer is point to another by storing the address of another variable. So you have to initialize this with the address of another variable. And in this case, let's say fiction 1 is the book, it's a struct book. And so you let P has the value of the address of fiction 1, of the variable fiction 1. So P is pointing to the book fiction 1. Right? And the good things about pointer is that previously we only mentioned about, okay, we use pointer to track, to access to the variable itself just by the position of this. Anything else? And this is anything else that we're talking about. You can use pointer to access to member text structure, quite convenient. Either you can use the asterisk and then point, because it's asterisk P. It will return the variable itself, the value of the variable itself. Point and then the member of the structure, or the information of the structure. Other way, more convenience. It's just P, and this symbol is like an arrow. See from here. The pointer P point to the variable fiction 1, and P with the arrow title. And this is return the title of fiction 1. Right? Pointers. Pointer. If someone's still asking yourself what is the pointer, it's time for you to revise. Now again, because it's a data type, so we have several operations can be done with the struct. Okay, as we just said, we cannot compare between two structs. But what happened here? Is this the comparison? No, it's not a comparison. It's an assignment. Assignment. You cannot compare, but you can assign one variable to another. Okay? We have fiction 2 equal to assign to be fiction 1. It means you will have another variable that have the same information, same value of the members. Like fiction 1 previously, this is Harry Potter from J.K. Rowling with some ID and the year is 2005. And after you assign this fiction 2 equal to fiction 1, this fiction 2 will have the title Harry Potter, author is J.K. Rowling, it's the same as the fiction 1. This is assignment, not comparison. Right? And as we use several times, the AND operator is will return the address of the struct variable. Again, you cannot compare, you cannot add, you cannot perform any other information operation with the struct variables. But you can make it possible by write your own function. Write your own function. The standard library, existing C language didn't provide you any function to add, to subtract, to compare. But you can write your own function. You know what function? Header, implementation file. You need it. same as the previous one. Now this is how we apply our previous session to this. Last time we mentioned about dynamic memory allocation, right? In which we mentioned about two functions to dynamically allocate memory, which are malloc and conloc. Okay? Malloc and conloc. And remember, whenever you allocate the memory, you have to free it to release, to return memory. The same is the data type, so you can use malloc function. Any place in the syntax that is the data type, you replace it with the struct book. The data type you just create, and do everything will download. This is the textbook in this course. Did you find and read it? This is the last lecture, the main content. And I hope you realize that this is the textbook. Textbook about programming. Where is home? Let's say we have dynamic and we have to pass and return a structure function. Again and again is a data type, so you do the same as other data type. Here is just some example for you to figure out that is similar to other data type. Okay, 5 minutes break. Now you can go out. Lớp mình có bạn nào mà không có máy tính không? Tức là không mang được máy tính đến lớp ấy. Nhưng mà chắc là 10 người là ít nhất là có một máy tính đúng không? Nên là có con này phải có máy tính.
Đã làm nhau thì đâu đã bị đề đâu.
project là cũng là dịp để các bạn trao đổi về mặt kỹ thuật, xem máy móc của nhau, xem máy tính chạy thế nào để tuyển chọn ra một cái máy đại diện. Cái máy đại diện để hôm buổi cuối cùng con sẽ chấm trên máy đấy. Và cô nói này, cái phần mà thi cá nhân ở trong project ấy, các bạn nộp trong report ấy, các bạn phải làm trên máy của mình chứ không phải làm trên máy của bạn mình, không phải làm trên máy của nhóm, phải làm trên máy của mình. Và các thầy cô đều có cách có thể check được là các bạn chạy trên máy nào. Khi capture screenshot là screen toàn màn hình, các bạn để full màn hình lên để screen toàn màn hình. Thầy cô nhìn vào đấy sẽ biết là bạn chạy trên máy nào. Nên là hãy chạy trên máy của mình nhé. Chạy trên máy của mình. Mà chạy không phải trên máy của mình thì thầy cô cũng có thể kiểm tra là xem là có đúng bạn chạy trên máy của bạn không, hay máy của bạn của bạn. Máy của bố mẹ mình cũng có thể chấp nhận được, nhưng máy của bạn mình thì không được. Máy của những người mà cũng học môn này không được. Ok, em cố gắng nhá, và làm project là thực chất. Mình còn học được cái gì đấy cho đỡ phí tiền học, đỡ phí công đi học. Và đã gọi là project thì hôm cuối cùng cô đi kiểm tra từng nhóm. Nhóm đấy member thiếu bạn nào thì bạn đấy ra khỏi nhóm luôn. Hôm final, hôm cuối cùng. Nên buổi cuối các bạn đã gọi là làm việc nhóm thì phải có mặt. Ngồi ở nhà mà vẫn có điểm, không có chuyện đấy xảy ra. Không đi học đã đành nghĩ nhất phải đi thi. Ok. Today content is very long, very long. It's like listing out some content, so we don't have really enough time to demo, to call someone to discuss, practice. Okay, let's continue with this. Passing a structure to a function is again. Is the data type. So you can use it as parameters of the functions. Let's just declare the data type for one parameters. Input of the function over here. Input of a function. And now, may I ask, in this example, void print book, struct book, a book, what is the data type of the parameters, of the only parameters of this function? We have print book is the function. What is this data type? Is this the pointer? Min. Is this a pointer? The data type of the variable a book. Is this the pointer? Yes or no? Is it a pointer? No. It's not a pointer. It's the data type. It's the data type. And actually, when you pass the value, when you call a function, it's actually you pass the copies of the variable to the function, not the variable itself. So whenever you change the value of this a book, the original variable doesn't change. Some example here. So this is how you pass this as an argument, as a parameter to the function. And then you can keep it as a return data type of the function. For example, we have interbook function. It's when return a book, return a variable that have the data type of book. Okay, and then you use the function as usual. If you spend enough time to read the code over here, you have already some hint for the function to print out a struct and input some struct, information of the struct from what? From the keyboard. You can write some function to manage students, book, DVD, games, anything, grocery, etc. Right? Now the second part of PhiIO. That's I mentioned about data science students. You have to work a lot with text. And also for bio students, I saw some students who work, who are now at the third year. You do the internship. You have done a lot of experiments. You collect some data. However, to process this data and make it, let's say, you have some data, you have to process it in order to show the graph, to show the table, to argue for something, like rice is good, show the best performance, the best crops. If you do it in the winter, or if you do it in the summer, better than in the summer, etc. So you have to process the data. Even you're coming from biology, coming from chemistry, I don't know much about chemistry, but for biology, you have to work with data. For space students, you have to work with data also. And for ICT students, of course, you have to work with data. For cybersecurity students, you have to secure the data. And for data science, you work mostly with data, nothing else. So a lot of data. And to work with PhiIO is actually one task to have you process the data. You save the data in the file, you access to the file, take out the information from the file. Okay? And nowadays the data is normally they try to digitalize the data, keep it the e-versions instead of the hard copies, right? So it means the data now is kept. We try to keep it as file inside a computer, not just some paper or hard copy, some example, not just this. We try to keep everything digitally. This helps us to save our space lasts longer, etc. And so, of course, you have to work with file IO. Save the data into the file and collect the data from the file. Okay, and let's say the data that I just talked about is the data that we want to store, and we want to store it permanent. When you turn off the computer, the data is still there. Or if you save it as a DVD ROM, or you save it as in the USB, the data must be there without energy. Not completely no zero, but without too much energy. And the data that we create and running, that we have when we run the program, when you type the code and run the program, is actually only the data kept in the RAM. And RAM is volatile kind of storage, volatile memory. It means when you turn off the computer and when the program stops, and the data will be erased, removed. So you have to distinguish between the data when you run the program and the data that's stored in the permanent storage. And the other case that when you run the program, the data is generated, and you want to capture this data, save it into the permanent storage. And in order to do that, it's actually you writing a file. You create a file. Take this, capture this data in the program, push it in the file, save it, and you can open and access to the file later. Even you turn off the computer and turn on again and open the file, it's still there. Right, so we mentioned about writing data to a file and reading data from a file. Write and read. Write and read. Overwrite in case you reuse some memory. Now the writing data to a file is just what I'm talking about. Over here you have some variable. When you run the program, you create some variable with some value. Okay? And we want to capture this data, this value. We type some kind of code you are going to know. You copy this value and save it and etch it into the disk, the hard disk, hard disk, and save it as a file. This process we call writing data to a file, a lot of files, right? Whenever a file is created, it's actually you writing. You copy some value and save it, etch it into the hard disk, and save it. The reading data from a file is in reverse. It's like we have a running program. You send the request. Okay, I want to open the file at this position of the disk. Copy the value from the disk and save it as not save it. Copy it and assign this value to some variable on the running program. It's called reading of data from a file. Have you seen any binary file? Open it. The file that you save in your computer. There are a lot of extensions. The extensions. It's a file format extension. For example, we have the file win.ini. So .ini over here is called the extension. It's the format of the file, format of the data that is stored in this file. .exe. What does it mean? Exe. What is the exe file? Exe file. It's executable file, right? And we used to be very careful because it may be a virus. You download and then it's run on your computer without your approval, without your aware. Okay? And there are many types of file, but depending on the type, the format of the file. When you open with the text editor, the format is will be different. For text file, it's text. Inside you can find some text. For binary file, it's binary but you cannot read. It's not binary from this side because the text editor doesn't show this in the form of the binary. If you select the code to show it as binary, it will be binary. This is called an arrow, format arrow. I think this will be quite something you see every day. But over here we try to make everything more logic. I think you are familiar with files, file names, right? You have to give the file the name. And if the two files are the same position, same directory in your computer, has the same name, the OS will ask you to replace, overwrite the file or not, right? Overwrite means you're writing a new value to the disk at the same place with the previous file. Okay, so the file, the name, and the extension. File is the area in the permanent storage that is store some value, some information, and it has the name and the extensions. Many extensions that indicate the type of data inside the file. For space student, what kind of extensions, what type of data that you are going to work with? Image? Yes, image. Image. So the extension will have to reflect that this is an image file type data. Maybe you know already, but I want you to note here, you have to distinguish between the text file and the binary file. Text file, binary file. There exists more than one type of data. Not just only Microsoft Word, not only Doc, but other things. Okay. Now, to work with a file, this is about a file. To work with a file, you have to open it first. You have to open it first, and then process the file, maybe read and write, delete, no, read and write, and then you close the file. to work with the file. Open, process, and close. And to open the files, actually you make a connection between the program and the storage, the hard drive. Program and hard drive. And there are two cases. Either you will save the file, save the data as a new file, the output file, or you will read from the existing file in the disk, on the disk, copy the value to the program. So there is two actions here. One is create a file on the disk, and another is to read data from the disk. To process is corresponding to these two actions. And after you read the file, you have to close it, or it will hang over there. You open the file without closing. Or normally, some file is closed automatically when you turn off your computer. Turn off the program. In C programming, you can consider the input and output of the data from the file to the file on the disk to a program. It's a stream, blank stream, lot of data. Stream go from program to disk, that means writing. Stream from the disk to the program, that means reading. Stream. Actually, the sequence of bytes flow into, flow out of the file in the program. Okay, thank God that we have some library already, some functions from the standard library help you to work with the file. You don't have to write anything, just use it. And to use these functions, you have to define the mode that you want. The same function to working with the file, but you have to define that you want to open it, to write or to read, to both write, read and write, and create if it doesn't exist, etc. Okay? Now, for example, you want to read a text file. What is a text file? The file that stores the data in the form of text. The type of data is text. And normally the extension for text file is txt. Or you can save it by other extension. This depends on you. Reading the file. Let's say, suppose that in the folder that your terminal is in the folder of the program that you are writing, there is a file called content to read.txt. There is a file. And you want to print it out on the screen. Read from the file. Firstly, you have to open it. Use fopen. Check if the file is opened successfully. If it's successful, you can use fgetC to get character from the text file until the last character is the file. End of file. Then print out one by one character. After you open, process, reading from the file, you have to close it. Okay? Try with your computer. Try it with your computer. Create a text file. Again, what is the text editor that you are using? Not the paper. Okay? Because we cannot read. The file is not on the paper. The file is stored in the disk, the hard disk of the computer. So please open your text editor. Create a text file and try to read it. Print out the file on the screen. Try. Go on. For example, I think this visual is something. When you see this is more visualized to you. In the folder that I'm creating the program name hello.cc, hello.cc. I create a text file over here. Some text inside. That's an extension of .txt in the same folder with this code, right? The same folder. If you created another folder, you have to provide the program the path to this folder. Okay? In case in the same folder, you don't need to provide the path. Just call the name. You can add the name here. You define the mode. We have read mode, write mode, both mode. Okay? And you can type the code that I provide you in the slide. Open the file, use fopen function. This fopen function return a pointer to a file. So you have to define a pointer to a file. And then print out the 1 by 1 character that's included in the text file. Okay, and you just run the code as you often do it. Hello.c. You can create the name. I often use the name. Let's use the default name. GCC. Compile and show the content of the file. The content is this what you ask is to print out, and the content in the file is here. It's a text. Now I will open the file. Open the file to show you is this the correct one. You have the file over here. Open it with, I use the subline. It's jumping. Is it? Okay, this is text file. You can read from this. Right. Later, you will have more complex text file, not just this one. The file that arranged data as a vector or sometimes some template, and you want to take out the data information from this template, input it inside the computer to process it. So to read from the file, you not just print out, but also you have to select the variable, select the value that you need. Nice. It's 10 a.m. perfect time for coffee and perfect time to what? To stop, to an end of the session. Okay, so you can try it yourself. Try some other file, not just this simple. Okay. Remember, if you open, you have to close. If you allocate memory, you have to release. Free. This is about reading. Now about writing, the reverse process. Again, you have to open it. Open. This means you create a file name over here in the writing mode. Okay, writing mode. And you can imagine when you run this program, there is a stream of data is generated. And you use the fprintf function to write the string, to write some variable value from the program to the file that you just opened it. Okay? Let's try. Now at first in the same folder with the program there is no file name out.txt. After you run the code you create a file with the name out and the content is input inside. You can test it. Try it. Play with this. Okay. Maybe right now you don't find it interesting, but the next 2 years when you next year already for cybersecurity student, and the next 2 years for ICT students, if you join my course, you will have to come back to this piece of knowledge to work with the file. Collect the data, process the data, analyze the data, draw the graph from the data, etc. Work with the file, from the file. Okay, and honestly, this piece of knowledge helped me a lot during my PhD. It saved my life. It saved my career, not my life. Okay, so please practice. I will show you back the piece of code, reading the file, text line. Play with this. For example, you can try some text file that include a list of students or list of your book, and you want to input, you want to search, or you want to just read this list out from the file to the program. Think, how can you do this? Okay? Over here is just a text file, but let's say if this text is a list of book, list of subjects, how can you print it out? How can you read it out? How can you check some information? Go on. Recording time. this course. It's time for you to revise and apply the knowledge that you understand in the projects. Okay? We assess the student, evaluate your performance based on the project. And the multiple choice questions next week. Right. That's it.
Ôi, ở trên 21 độ kiểu
I'm going to lecture 6. Lecture 7, we will have to wait. Midterm. That's right. Rồi, class dismiss. Buổi sau chúng ta bắt đầu project nhá, và cô sẽ đến từng nhóm một để các bạn đăng ký nhóm.
Có được cốt được cô thôi bạn.